Welcome to today's show, Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, a motivator, a leader, and a communicator. Well, good morning and welcome to Success and Intentional Lifestyle. I'm your host, Jeff Heiser, and I am so happy that you've tuned in for today's show. You know, many thanks go out to everyone who's listening around the world, and I really mean around the world. We have people that are listening all over in many different countries, and I thank you for tuning in to hear today's show. I hope your morning has been a great start to a wonderful day, and I sure hope you had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. Didn't do much, but sometimes that's good. You know, you can find out more about Success and Intentional Lifestyle by visiting the Jeff Heiser Radio website at www.jeffheiserradio.com. That's www.jeffheiserradio.com, or by visiting facebook.com/Jeff Heiser Radio. Now, I've never done this in the past, and the only reason I'm doing this is because the person is my sister, and I just would like to ask that if you are a praying type person, to please say a prayer for her. She's battling with cancer right now. She's my second to the youngest sister. And she's had a rough week. She's been in the hospital all week after her treatments and getting her treatments, and now she's got a fever. And so, if you are a praying type, I would greatly appreciate it if you could say a prayer up for my sister Carolyn, and maybe we can get her up out of the hospital and onto a path of recovery and some good health. And I appreciate that. And like I said, I don't usually do this, but I would greatly appreciate it if you are a praying person, if you could say a prayer for her. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, actually. We're going to talk about a little bit about hard work and how hard work can be your turning point. Have you ever passed up chances to try something new because you were nervous about whether, you could do it or not, or maybe you were worried about what others might say? Oh, come on. You have. Lots of us have. Maybe it's time, though, for you to roll up your sleeves and work a little harder. I know, that's tough, ain't it? That's sometimes hard to hear. Roll up your sleeves and work a little harder. I know if somebody told me that, I'd probably have to turn around and have a real heart-to-heart discussion, because I feel sometimes like I'm working as hard as I can, and then my youngest son will remind me, Dad, hey, you're not working as hard as you could be, and these are the reasons. Boom, 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 and it's like, wow. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and take a look at it and see what you're missing. You might be doing things that don't even matter, and it makes it seem like you're working so hard. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for you to start creating your own opportunities at work and in your personal life. I know. Jeff, how can I do that? I'm working so hard right now. I've got this and that and blah, 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 blah. And it just comes flowing in. Anytime I'm someplace and I'm speaking and people say, I say that, and it's like you can hear the room, all this vibration and noise goes on. What does he think I'm doing? And it's like, no, really, think about this. Maybe it's time to make some new opportunities. You don't know what lies ahead of you until you start thinking that way. If you think that I'm stuck in this cubicle. I'll be in this cubicle for the rest of my life until I retire. Or like a thing I saw yesterday, right up until lunchtime of the day of my funeral. It's like, okay. I mean, holy smokes, that's a long time to work. But maybe you need to take a step out and think from a different perspective. You know, like looking at from the outside of the box in instead of from the inside of the box out. Have you thought about what steps are needed to make whatever this change is or whatever it is you want a reality? Everybody wants something. I mean, you might want a new promotion. You might want a better relationship. You might want a new relationship. You might want to get out of a relationship. But have you taken the time, or like I said in the beginning, have you rolled up your sleeves and put in a little hard work? Anything worth having will take hard work to get it. My grandfathers told me that. My fathers told me that. Coaches have told me that. Military mentors have told me that. Anything you want, Jeff, is going to take some hard work. And you know what? It's been true. I can't look back at any part of my life where things have come easy, where it hasn't taken some work. If you have, you're very fortunate. If things have been coming easy for you, you are a very fortunate person. But for the rest of us, it takes hard work. It takes, and not only hard work, it takes an effort. It takes you really have to get into the grind of it. You have to really, like I used to tell the football players, you really have to put your whole mind, your whole body, and your whole heart into this, whatever it is. For them, it was football, for the practice for the game or whatever. But for whatever you're looking at, you really have to put whatever it is, whatever you're after, you have to put your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole body into it. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. I mean, you might get close. You might think you're there, but you're not. Anything worth having will take hard work to get. Maybe it's the hard work you're afraid of. There's lots of people that are afraid of hard work. A lot of people. And, every time I say that to a group also, no, there is. I can guarantee you in a room of 1,000 people, there's probably a third of those people in there that are so afraid of hard work that if I had said during the seminar or during the talk that, okay, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves, we're going to start some hard work, a bunch of them would got up and walked out. I know it. It happens. You can be in there and say, okay, we're going to do this activity, and it's going to take a little physical. We got to get up and move to these parts of the room. A bunch of people head to the bathrooms because they're afraid of the hard work that might be involved. Now, hard work isn't just physical, it's mental too. I mean, for some people, thinking is hard work. How bad do you want whatever it is that you want? That's going to determine how hard you're willing to work. This is one of my favorite stories that I remember from my dad. My dad told me this, oh man, I don't know. I think I was like a teenager. But I've remembered it ever since, and it's a really good story, and it really demonstrates how bad somebody could want something or not want something. And I remember the story that my dad told me when I was a kid, and it's all about hard work and turning points. And the story was about one of my favorite baseball players, and that might have been why it resonated so much with me. It was about Mickey Mantle. I remember, when I was like 8, 9, 10 or younger, we lived on Long Island, and everybody talked about Mickey Mantle, and oh man, you always tried to get his baseball cards, and he was everybody's favorite, and he was one of my favorite baseball players. And Mickey Mantle was the son of a miner from a small town in Oklahoma. And he was turned on to baseball at a very early age by his father, because his father was concerned that he didn't want his son to wind up like him. And you'll understand that in a minute. Even though Mickey Mantle was a great baseball player, he struggled. He struggled hard with the Yankees. And because of it, he was sent down to their farm team in Kansas City, where he went, believe it or not, 0 for 22. That means he's up 22 times and he's out 22 times. No hits. Now that in the big league is a big time batting slump. And if you get moved down to the minors and you're a big league hitter and you're 0 for 22, you're actually on your way out. You're going to be looking for, a little league team to coach someplace. I'm telling you, that doesn't get you very far at 0 and 22 batting record. Well, the story goes that he called his father saying, "Man, Dad, I don't think I can play baseball anymore." Well, the next day, his father appeared at his motel room unannounced. And he was at Mickey's room, and he came in the room, and he started packing a suitcase. And he was jamming all of Mickey Mantle's clothes into the suitcase, and he was going at it. Mickey stood there, and he was kind of like, in shock and amazed, and it's like, he asked his dad what he was doing. And his father said to him, "You're going home. You're going to go work in the mines with me. That's what we're doing. You can work down there or back down there." Well, that shocked Mickey Mantle. And it shocked him so much and so significantly that he bounced back out of his batting slump, and he was hitting .360 for the Kansas City team that he was on, the minor league team, and then returned to the Yankees. He recalls later, looking back over his years, he says that was his turning point in life. See, it's up to you. If you want something bad enough, you're going to do it, right? You're going to work at it. Sometimes you need to be smacked into place, like what happened with Mickey Mantle. His dad was serious. He was going to take him, and he was going to bring him back home, and they were going to go back down and work in the mines. And that's something that became a turning point or a rally point for Mickey Mantle. Now, I like baseball. And over the weekend, I watched this show about a Rays player. His name is Kevin Kiermaier. And Kevin, he is the center field. Oh, well, he was the center fielder. He's injured. He broke his hip this season going into first base. But anyways, they tell this story about him. And now, he is considered the premier outfielder of all of Major League Baseball. They're saying that there is nobody better than him. And for the most part, there's probably not. But you got to understand his story. He was a significant player in high school. He was a significant player in college. And he thought that he was going to get picked up in the draft for sure, if not the first round, for sure the second round. He invited all of his friends over to his house on the second day of the baseball draft to have, a party for when they called. At the end of the day, there was no call. He was drafted in the 31st round. I think he was 931 was his draft number. And he said that is what drives him, because he knows he's better than that number. But he keeps that number. He said that's his chip on his shoulder, that he has to knock that